IELTS Writing Academic Task 1, Part 2.
In this slide, we will review how to determine the topic. As you remember, in Task 1, you'll be asked to summarize the information on the diagram by selecting and reporting the main features. You can identify the topic by reading the title of the diagram in the task and also making a note of both the title and the description. So the description, that can be your prompt. So make sure you read your prompt carefully. Never skip reading your title, so make sure you read and analyze your diagram before you begin planning and writing. That will help you to determine your topic and stay focused while writing your essay. Alright guys, here's an example of the diagram task essay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to read a prompt for you which states the following. The diagram below shows the process of producing raisins from grapes. And the requirement is always the same when it comes to task 1. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So in this case, we have this diagram, as you can take a look. So the title states raisin production. And when you read your title and prompt carefully, so you understand, it clearly states the diagram below show the process of producing raisins. So you understand that this is a process. It actually clearly states you have a process diagram and how to make raisins from grapes. And the title says raisin production. So this is your main idea. So now you determined your topic. And for you to do a little bit analysis on your writing, and understanding this whole diagram, so you can do the following. So for example, kind of take notes and write down title. Your title will be raisin production, and then description. The description is pretty much what you had in your prompt, the process of producing raisins from grapes. And again, the most important part for you before you'll begin writing or planning is to determine whether you have changes before and after, or you have a process diagram just like this one. In this slide, you can see the following example about the diagram, but this diagram is a little bit different. So as you can see, you have two pictures, and one picture is before and the next one is after. So let's go ahead and read the prompt so to get a better idea and details about this diagram. So the prompt states the following. The diagram below shows a library before and after renovations. Your noting here is, requirement is the same. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparison where relevant. So in order for you to understand this, I think this one is pretty clear. It tells you a library before and after renovation. So you see picture before and you see the following picture after, and you see the changes that happened. And also you have a title. So title states Taftsville Public Library. So it kind of gives a name for this library. Sometimes it's really great to include that too in your essay. You don't have to, but you can. If you're not sure about what it means and you just doubt about it, probably you shouldn't include it. Just, not to confuse yourself too much and make a mistake as well. All right, so here you have a couple of following notes. For example, when you take notes and you are trying to determine your topic, you can do the following. So title, Taftsville Public Library, and description, a library before and after renovation. So in your essay, you would have to describe how this library used to be in the past before and how it has become later. Like it expanded, it became smaller, it became bigger. So in this case, we can see that this library actually has expanded. It became much bigger than before. And that's it, guys. So we have two diagrams. Two types of diagrams. The previous one, when you had a process, you had a lot of steps from 1 to 7, from 1 to 10. It can be always different. So make sure you take a look, you analyze your diagram and understand it. And then second one, a lot of times is before and after. And you have to explain about the changes happened throughout the time. All right, guys, and that's it for now. And we are going to move on to the next slide.
In this slide, we'll review how to make notes about details. If you have a process diagram, you'll have to determine what happens at each step of a process and make sure that you understand the order in which the steps happen. For a diagram that shows a place that changes, you'll have to identify the differences between before and after pictures. And remember that most diagrams have labels that can help you identify objects and actions. Also keep in mind that diagrams may also have arrows that show you direction of movement, entering or exiting, etc. So please make sure to read every word that you have on your diagram. It can guide you and help you to complete your task. In this slide, you can see two sample outlines, and one of them for our process essay and the other one is for before and after essay. Our first one is about raising production. As you can tell, we have 7 different steps. The most important part for you to identify how many steps you have, and you don't really need to take a lot of notes while you're making your outline. You just have to write down the most important key points, but remember the exact order how it follows. So for example, our step 1, it's about harvesting, and the following is drying, then we have transporting to process plant, cleaning, washing, sorting, and packaging for sale. So make sure you identify your exact steps and how they follow. And then next one, we have about before and after essay. And as you can tell, I took notes a little bit differently in this case. So I have notes for before with the key points. For example, before the desk was in the middle. After that, we have reference area was behind the desk, children's room was on the right side, and adult fiction was on the left side. And as you can see, after that we have a lot of changes happen. It was in an after picture. So for example, this became closer to door, and then we have a new reading area. All children's area is divided now, and new children's area and garden are created. So when you take notes, just make sure to write down the most important key points. Again, you do not have to include every single little detail. You just have to include the most important details and identify whether you have process essay or you have essay before and after.